Our first door sold at $3,000 for like a CGI'd looking door on the ugliest website that was red and black you've ever seen. I'm thinking, man, these guys are ballsy to give me some money.
There you go.
Hi, and welcome to the Flat Bill Investors Podcast. I'm Josh Siglowski.
I'm Zach Spencer. Good morning. Hey, you guys, today we have a great room. It's full of amazing energy and great stories. We have a local legend here with us today. His story goes from sleeping in a truck, bankrupt twice, to now running multiple companies with over $60 million a year in revenue. And if you ever, as a kid, Josh, I don't know if you ever wanted to pull a trophy and have like a secret door open up, and that was like a cool thing you wanted to have. This guy's making that happen for lots and lots of people. Today, we are blessed to have Jeremy Barker in the house. Murphy Door. Jeremy, welcome.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, you guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming, Jeremy.
It's awesome to be your neighbor, too, man. What a small world.
I know.
This is great. And we don't want to tell people where it is, but it's God's country, so stay.
I know.
And
I know. I probably divulge too much on the podcast sometimes, how awesome it is up here.
Don't tell everyone. This is the place, right?
I know. Even when I have guests like from South Salt Lake, and they're like, God, that's an hour and 20 minutes. I'm like, if you really want to see a cool city, you might move up here after you come up for the podcast.
It's very true. And you're lucky enough to have grown up here. I was one of your invaders. You guys forgot to close the gates, so I just kind of blasted my way through.
Yeah, you're what I call transplant. No, you've been here for now 20 years. So
my kids are organically here.
There's got to be, like, you got to have a citizenship in the United States for a certain amount of time, right? So you're a citizen.
You're making it.
I finally made it. So I faked my way all the way to here. Didn't kicked out several times close, but they didn't get me yet.
Yeah. There you go.
I'm good at hiding. I have some secret rooms.
There you go. There you go.
That's right.
Well, I was going to say, let's if you want, we can jump right into it.
Let's do it.
We've got lots of content. You've got a great story, and I think that's a story that people will really benefit from hearing. I would love to just jump right into some of your past life. I know you were firefighting.
Yeah, I was for Roy City Fire right here. Yeah. So that was kind of like my second bankruptcy game. So right around 2007, 2008, I was doing heavy earthwork, right, in commercial construction. The markets kind of died, and so I started volunteering at Morgan Fire in 2007-ish, right when that little piece, we were a little slow, so I had more time, needed to make a little money, and they were paying $1.50 an hour. You do a 24-hour deal, you make $36 and $25 a call. So I'm like, it's better than a kick in the pants, so I did that, and then when the markets got slower, I went to paramedic school at Weber, and then got hired at Roy City Fire.
How long are you at Roy City?
7 years.
From when to when?
From 2010 till the very end of 2016.
So I used to know some people from there.
Who'd you know? You got some good buddies there?
Mike Slater.
Oh, yeah. I work out with Mike every morning. He's at Ogden.
He's
a fire chief now.
I can't think offhand, but because I went to Morgan, and then my senior year I actually went to Roy High.
Oh, did you?
So I know a lot of Roy people.
So Greg Parrish. Did you know Greg? No, he was a Roy High kid. But anyway, I loved it. So that was like family, the firefighter, and that was the piece. But, you love fire. I still tell everyone it's my favorite job, hands down. There's nothing better than that.
Why is that?
I think it's the dopamine hit. And I think it's also trying to figure out, like, you're doing algorithm changes every minute. So in paramedics, you get an EMT and they know the algorithm. And the nice thing with paramedics is you can bounce algorithms. Like, okay, we're having a change. Where are we moving to next? And it reminded me a lot of business, like in being able to perform under pressure was something I feel like I'm good at. Yes, what's a good superpower? I feel like when the pressure increases, my heart rate settles. It slows. Like I feel a way more bit of peace in my heart and my brain.
When there's more pressure?
When it's extremely stressful. I just feel like a zen. I don't know what it is. Like, I'm in my happy place. I was listening to, not to get on a sidetrack, but that SOB, what's his name? SOB podcast. He's the sheriff of Baghdad, the military dude. He said he can't sleep without bombs going on.
Oh, interesting.
I wish I could remember his name. It's a great one with Joe Rogan, but it kind of, not that I've been in that kind of stress, by the way, but if it feels like there's stuff exploding is my biggest place of peace.
Well, it's funny because I just wrote a book a few months ago, and one of the things I always say is when I learned, when I was 23, I went to a mentorship, to learn real estate investing. I remember asking the guy, what's the secret to investing in real estate? And he's like, you guys want to know the secret? And I remember getting ready to write down. He says just 2 words: problem solving. And like what you talk about is like, because as a firefighter, paramedic, that's quick problem solving. It's like instant, especially as a firefighter. Like there's fire. What do I do now? And like that's what I resonate with. What you're talking about is like, I tell my wife all the time, and sometimes she, like a lot of women, they want to be heard. You're right. And like us, we're like, okay, I want to solve that problem. It's
Yeah.
like that. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Good at listening.
Yeah.
It's like the nail in the head,
Right.
like that skit or whatever is like, oh, there's a nail in your head.
Can I help you?
Yeah. So, but no, I can see like as a paramedic and even a cop and all that stuff is like that's quick problem solving.
I think that's what it is. When you ask what's the piece you missed the most, and it's, of course, the brotherhood, the family, the people that are there.
Yeah.
They're just so close. You go through the worst scenarios, but at the same time, I think it's the opportunity to exercise your knowledge and be able to perform under extreme pressure without missing, hopefully, right? And even if you do a little bit, at least you're there to help. But at the same time, it's one of those, and you get it in business a little bit, and then of course I think I have a bit of morbid curiosity.
I mean, at the end of the day, you are ultimately, saving lives. People,
you hope.
They say, or at least kittens from trees, right?
Yeah, at least
At the very minimum,
we hope to save some lives.
At the very
and
minimum,
not
but
kill
no,
them.
you're the people that are out there doing the hard thing and running toward the fire, and I think that any firefighter that I've met with or talked to, or EMT, things like that, they, you can tell that they're the people that in
They're
that
passionate.
moment they're running toward it because they care, and that's something. So that's a great trait to have.
What transferred? What made it so you went 7 years and then you went a different direction?
So that was a good question. My net check was $762 every 2 weeks for 240 hours a month. So
That's
you're making
crazy.
$1,534 or whatever that number equals. And I'm like, okay, this doesn't work when my house payment's $2,311.
Yeah.
Right. I've always been pretty good at math, but not good at finance.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I've been bankrupt obviously once before. I made my first $20 million by the time I was 21. I was doing $20 million in top line, and I partied like a 21-year-old with $20 million in top line, which of course, as you know, that's not all your money.
Sure.
But I treated it like it was.
Yeah.
So then I was pretty undisciplined, and needless to say, I got used to a little bit of that, and then I was supplying big box by the time I was 21. So I supplied all the Home Depot stores with their storage sheds. I invented the metal frame on the inside of the storage sheds that you see in Tuff Sheds now.
Oh,
and
wow.
I put all the sheds on the outside of the stores instead of inside of the stores for Home Depot. So I'm like, hey, this is a stupid way to market. Let's put them out front in the lawn and garden center. Then I didn't have to pay for your display. Home Depot bought the displays, which saved me at 19 a ton of money. I'm like, I don't have the money to do that. And anyway, I wanted to get back into that, knowing if I could just keep my fire job. My idea was to create a hardware set. I wanted to build a theater room door. I had no money. When I say theater room door, I still live in a $1,700 square foot home, right? And my theater room is little. I mean, it's smaller than this room. And so I'm like, if I can't do a cool theater room, let's make a cool entrance to the room for the girls so they could have fun and make it like a little ticket booth. Think it like that Zalta or whatever, that Zoran, the little fortune teller deal.
Yep.
Zoltar. I'm like,
from
hey,
Tom Hanks's.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
from Big.
So if I can do that and then have that door open, they could give their little ticket to their friend through the door, and then they can come into my lackluster theater room. But
Yeah.
at least it's fun getting into the theater room, right? So we did that, and I'm like, well, the hardware doesn't work. I can't use a piano hinge, and the regular hinges were ripping off the side of the door, so we created the hardware. And I'm like, all right, went through an engineering deal. Of course, I could have just bought. No one was making hidden doors really at the time. I mean, it's funny, we call ourselves the original hidden door. Hidden doors have been around since Christ, when they rolled the wheel. I mean, it's like, of course, we're not the original, but we're the market leader. Everybody refers to hidden doors as Murphy door, but when at the time they didn't have that type of stuff to make the hardware work. So I'm like, let's create something that works. And my idea, I feel like I'm a pretty good inventor. I've got a lot of patents. I'm like, I can just create something simple, and I'll sell that to Home Depot. The problem is there is no category for hidden door hinges. So what I thought would be simple.
Nobody's getting on there.
Nobody's going
searching.
to look for a hidden door hinge, right? So
Yeah.
we had to create a category. We had to market the category and build in a demand for hidden rooms, secret rooms, panic rooms. Panic rooms have always been there, so I don't want to say that credit. But at the same time, how do you do it in mass market? How do you create a category where the stores have a code, the freight companies have a code for these type of products to be moved? That was a whole process. Not to get too offline.
Yeah. No, this is great.
The hinges is simple. I thought I could hire Zach. He can make my hinges. He'll ship it. I can still be a fireman. Like, I'll get orders on Amazon. I'll get orders on Wayfair, or I guess it was Rockler at the time is who we were selling. And he'll ship it. And I'll make, we had good margins, by the way. It's like 500%. I was buying them for $22, selling them for $149. And we sold 30,000 the first year.
Wow.
I'm like, hey, that's not too bad. It's a good gig. It's doubled my fire wages. But I've never taken money out of my business for the first 5 years. We had to do $5 million in pace before I'd take any money out of the company, even though we were broke. So that's kind of why.
Good.
I'm like, it was a side gig, and then all of a sudden everybody wanted doors, not hardware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, well, crap, I don't even know how to build a door. Like, I've never done cabinets. I did commercial.
Yeah. I was going to say, what was your first product when you said, okay, we're doing hardware, now we're going to do doors, just take me down that a little bit. Cause I feel like that's a little bit of a jump or a big
Oh, it was
jump.
a huge jump.
You know?
Right? Because I'm like, with a table saw and a piece of plywood, you could make a bookcase door that would kind of work. But there was a lot more engineering that I didn't have involved to make a door last forever, not warp, not twist, carry a ton of weight. So I'm like, how am I going to build a cabinet at scale? Mm-hmm. So to be honest, like, my first website was just fake. We'd take a bunch of pictures of bookcases and green screen it and make it look like a door and say, I think I could build that. Fortunately enough, we live in Morgan, and Lance Johnson lives across the street from me. Johnson's own advanced machinery that sell cabinet equipment.
Yeah.
You know the Johnsons,
Very
right?
well. I was kind of like Lance's and Kobe's basketball mentor.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So you know him well. So fortunately, I live right across the street from Lance. So backing out of my driveway is his driveway. And I went to Lance. I said, hey, everybody's asking me to build these bookcases. I have no idea how to build a bookcase at scale, right? So at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, how do I really build these? And he said, hey, there's a company in Rigby, Idaho that is slow, right? This is the downturn of the market. It's 2010, 11, 12. I guess it was 2012. And he says, hey, take this hinge, and how do we create a bookcase that we can make replicable and ship all over the place?
Yeah.
So fortunately, he introduced me to Chris Merrill. Merrill designed this bookcase initially and said, hey, we offer it in this size, and these are the different colors we'll paint or stain, which was a big learning lesson. And thank goodness for him, because I didn't know how to design it. So he'd build the box, we'd put the hinges on it, and we'd ship it. And then we got too busy for him.
Yeah, that's
and
good.
then he's like, literally, I don't know how anybody paid me. Our first door sold at $3,000 for like a CGI'd looking door on the ugliest website that was red and black you've ever seen. I'm thinking, man, these guys are ballsy to give me some money
there you
up
go.
front. And it's still one door a week, then two,
Yeah,
then
yep.
6. And now we do one every 6 minutes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
I was just going to say that kind of brings the question, maybe like to the date of the company, what's like your number one selling product? I'm just curious.
It's really just a standard flush mount bookcase door, so it's just a single bookcase.
Does Home
Fits in
Depot
a
have the
normal
exclusive
doorway.
to it, or do you? Are
No,
you
we
allowed
won't
to?
sign exclusivities at all. They are stating exclusive because we're not selling to Lowe's or any of those other guys. Not because we can't. The Lowe's just is margin whores, so they want all 50% take. And I think this is where customers forget. They want these big box stores in their neighborhood, but they're taking a 50% margin on most of these
most of these
pieces.
products.
And
Yeah.
so they need to really consider a D2C model where they're going to pay a better price and have better services, really. And I know I'm saying that with Home Depot as one of my vendors, but I don't really care if I don't end up with Home Depot, to be frank. And I've told them to their face. It's not a scary thing. I'm like, hey, look, my goal is 0 Home Depot.
Yeah.
Like, it's better for the customer, it's better for the company, it's better for everyone if Home Depot isn't the main go-to for your product.
Gotcha.
You get what you want that
Yeah.
way. So
you mentioned a daughter. Like, tell us a little about your family.
Oh, heck yeah. I've got 4 awesome kids. So I've got my youngest, it's 15. She thinks she's 21. She's always been daddy's
It
angel
happens.
till like a
Yeah.
year ago.
Yep.
And now she hates dad, I think. At least
No,
it feels
no.
that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, Dad, don't kiss my hair. Like, why? That's weird. Why do you always kiss me
Yeah,
goodnight? I'm
yeah.
like, I'm going to kiss you goodnight forever.
Yep.
I don't care if you're 100 and married. If I can kiss you, I will be there giving you a goodnight kiss. That's it, period. You
I think-
better like it.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
is she gonna be a sophomore?
She's going to be a sophomore.
That's
Yeah, her
cool,
name's
man.
Annie, and then I have Presley, who just graduated. She's 18, and she says she's just going to take a year off. I said, no, you're not, and live here. I mean, you can be a year off and live in your car, but you're going to have to either work or go to school. But you don't get to live here.
Yeah.
And do that year off business. And then I have Tayden, who is 4. He just turned 24, and he works for me. He goes full time to Weber State for engineering. He's got 2 engineering degrees he's finishing, so he'll be done this semester. And then, Tayden and Hayden. Hayden I got a girl pregnant before after high school, and his name's Hayden. I met him when he was 24. So that was the
Wow.
first time I met him. It was awesome.
How long ago was that?
Oh, he's 27, so 3 years ago. And it's been awesome. Like, we were at PAL last week together. It's been an awesome relationship since then. And he just left Weave and went to work for another group.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
so
smart
2
kid.
boys and 2
Yeah.
girls. Cool.
Yeah,
That's
it's awesome.
how I
And
am.
I've been with my wife for 20 years this year.
Nice.
In February.
Look at that. That's good.
I know.
20
I
years is
can't
a
believe I
big.
put up with her for that long. I mean, probably
Other
the
way
opposite.
around.
Probably
For
the
sure.
other way around.
Definitely opposite.
Especially if they want to be married to an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
as bad as we like to work 17 hours a day and enjoy everything we do with it.
Yeah, that's exactly like with my book. I did my speech, not an acceptance speech, just a kind of speech. I had my family come up on the stage, and in my speech, I talk about like I want to thank my wife for letting me play this game each and every day because I know it's hard, for her.
Yeah.
So,
What's your book called?
Take Your Shot.
Take Your Shot.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
a
it.
combination
Great
of
name.
basketball and
He
entrepreneurship.
he played a bunch of basketball. So
Dude, I love that. That's
Yeah.
freaking awesome.
Yeah.
What a great title.
So, but yeah, I mean, but the point was just to thank her for letting me play this game because I'm just gonna love playing this game for the rest of my life, And,
Do you see yourself ever stopping?
So my internal goal is 5 to 7 years that I won't go as hard as I'm going now because quick story is you as a partnership you make a goal and say, hey, if we hit this financial goal, we're done. And
I did that. It's a
Fortunately,
mistake, by the way.
Fortunately, I surpassed it pretty fast.
Yeah.
And then we never really talked about it. And then I was going and doing a speaking event in Savannah, Georgia. And I'm getting ready to fly out the day before. And she goes, why are you going out? I think we talked about, like, we already hit this financial goal. And I was like, wow, yeah, I forgot that we did talk about that 2-3 years ago. And we ended up talking about it. And I said, I have a different network now. Like things are a lot easier than it was 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And then there's still a grind. It's not easy. Like, oh, I can just go make money. It's not easy like that. It's still a grind. But there's a lot more organization in my head than there was before, right? And I have different relationships than I had before. So I just said, I want my boys, 19 and 16. I want to be, and my girls too. I mean, they're just younger, 14, 11. I want all of us to be partners in different aspects in some way or another. I want them to,
Learn from you.
Yeah. And we always said, I want to be the Rockefellers, not the Vanderbilts. Right. And so, for me, I have good relationships, great relationships for the next 5 to 7 years. I feel like I can build up something pretty decent that I can kind of take a step back, and then my kids can take over a lot of things. Yeah. That's kind of my goal.
So yours is easier than mine. Mine was, I said, hey, if I ever hit 10 million, we're done.
Uh-huh.
Well, we didn't get my accountant was a really small accountant before we got too big too fast, and he was way over his head, and he didn't bring my carryovers for my K2s or whatever in for my real estate losses or write-offs. Mm-hmm. So they had to amend my taxes at the same time they updated my personal financial statement. So we went to Tanner, and
Big
Tanner's
swing.
like, big swing. So we sit there, and I remember Shannon having to sign the amendment, and next thing you know, I was like, and here's your personal financial statement. She goes, what's this? And she goes, oh, that's your net worth, which we all know is just net worth. It's not cash in the bank. And she's like, you told me when you hit 10 million, we were done, and it's more than 10 times that. Yeah. So we have a huge problem. She wouldn't sign the paper. She got up and stormed out of the office. And so the accountant looks at her and goes, or looks at me. He's like, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know. He goes, I've never had that problem.
Yeah.
And so she felt like I'd lied, and I kept going. I'm like, I didn't lie. She goes, you told me you were going to be done at 10. I said, well, that was like I'm working at the fire station, Shannon, when you asked me that question. That's like throwing darts at the moon. Mm-hmm. Like, I might as well say 10 million because that'll never happen. And next thing you know, in a rapid sequence, you end up becoming a little bit more than that, at least on paper, for sure. And we had to have the conversation of like, what does it look like? So the way I phrased it, you said Vanderbilts or Rockefellers. I'm like, look, honey, if I do a good job, then you and I won't have to worry about money for the rest of our lives. If I do a great job, then me and the kids will have something, and they won't have to worry about it. And if I do an excellent job, then maybe their kids will do a great thing. So I said, my goal is to swing for excellent, and then they can do whatever it is with that.
Totally.
And that's kind of however that looks. But for me, I have a hard time seeing myself. By the way, at 46, I want to be 5 to 7. And now that I'm 51, I'm saying 5 to 7. So I think that 5 to 7 is just a consistent deal that keeps rolling in our brain, just FYI. It gets more addictive, I think, the older you get because you get smarter. Yeah. And you've heard that Warren Buffett conversation where he was like, hey, at 65 years old, I think his edge isn't that he's smarter than everyone. It's just he has much more time. He put in a full career post 65. Yeah. And I think he was only worth $300 million at 65, and his massive wealth came post that. But you take when most people leave at 65,
That's when
and
you
then
really got
compound
going,
the
yeah.
education and all your experience. Look what you can do. And dude, you've done some brilliant things with the businesses you've run that we talked about this morning. I think your 5 to 7 is a good goal.
I mean, here's a real interesting question, because you think, okay, when we were talking about your kind of your struggles early on, that wasn't that long ago, really.
No,
I think,
no.
it wasn't like it was 20, 30 years ago. It was just a couple years ago. And then you look at the last few years, it's really been a really categoric rise. And same with Josh, the same thing. It's like it wasn't 20 years ago. It was fairly recently.
I remember
So
when
it's-
my birthday is December 29th, so the very end of the year, right, in 79. So right 3 days before the decade. But when I was 39 in December in my commercial mastermind group, I remember my mentor, now my business partner in commercial real estate, he got up and spoke, and he goes, guys, we have something pretty awesome coming up over the next 10 years, a new decade. And it was funny because it was right at it was right at 2020. And so because that's kind of where my birthday is, so I was 39 in December of 19. So he goes, we have a new decade. What are you going to do for this
So
decade?
2020 makes you 40, and then
Yeah.
all the way through. That's
it's
so
like,
cool.
yeah.
How awesome is that?
Yeah. So, and I remember thinking at the time, like, I'm gonna make a difference in my 40s. I'm gonna make a difference this decade, this 2020 to 2029, 2030. And it's funny because then I look back, I remember, and I spoke to a big group in, it would have been December of 25. And I said, guys, I remember someone spoke to me 5 years ago and said, what are you going to do over this decade? And I'm halfway through this decade. Now I'm thinking in my head, what am I going to do the last part of this decade? And I want you guys to instill that, like, okay, my first part of the decade, it was a success or failure, whatever it was. But what are you going to do this last half of the decade? And I remember like just thinking like when that motivated me, and I remember some people came up to me after, was like, dude, that was pretty awesome, because now I'm thinking like, okay, it's never too late to plant that tree.
Our brains are just naturally like tuned to like New Year's resolutions type of
Self-motivation.
mentality, where you go, okay, I've got this time frame, and as long as I put it inside that time frame, gives you a little bit of structure and a little bit of motivation, and kind of lights a fire a little bit. So
The funny part is I've always thought business plans are stupid, because I didn't know how to do one. So of course, if you don't know how to do one, they're dumb.
Yeah.
Right, because no one really teaches you that. And you think, I started my first business in 93, 94. Like, there's no books on how to start business. There's some written books, but there isn't really like YouTube, or there isn't Instagram, or there isn't influencers.
Yeah, we didn't have any of that.
You can go to the state and say, hey, what license do I need? Like when I started the shed company, tickets for contracting without a license, no insurance, manufacturing a residential
Just
neighborhood,
all the things.
not doing inspections, like everything wrong. Like, I didn't know the rules. I didn't know I had to pay payroll taxes on certain times. Like, this is what really failed, is when the IRS comes after you like crazy. Well, at the end of the deal, now there's all those awesome tools. But what I've realized, we can call it a business plan, or we can call it goals, like getting a clear goal line. So Randy Watt, local neighbor here, he was the old chief of Ogden City Police. He's kind of I guess a mentor in a sense. We pay him to come in and coach our executive team once a week. And he's like, hey, let me show you the strategy of goals. And I'm like, I get goal. Like, what does that look like? It's a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10-year goal, but with clarity, what do you want it to look like? And the part that I missed is how we work backwards from goal and setting benchmarks along the way. So you can look at your decade. So, okay, what does 10 years look like for you? And then what is the 9 year, 8 year, 7 years? So where do you have to pivot all the way along the route to your goal? Like, is it a 1 degree change? Is it a 30? Is it a 90-degree flip? Where are you at? And when he finally drew it on I have a big glass conference table that we write with dry eraser on it. And I'm like, it was the weirdest deal. Here I am sitting 48, 49 years old, and I'm like, that's a business plan that I think is ridiculous. And I was like, that was dumb. Now I'm like, I get it. It makes sense. If someone would have drawn that out during business, whatever, I'm not a school person. I don't agree with school at all. But those who can't do teach, right?
Yep, totally. Well, to switch gears a little bit, Jeremy, I want to talk about your Proof Wisdom.
90 Proof Wisdom podcast.
And Pure Brand.
Yeah, so 90 Proof Wisdom podcast started as kind of a business, like, how do you start something from nothing?
Okay.
Right, that was the principle of it. And then I was bringing in firefighters, because the goal was the firefighters end up with a pretty decent savings account in their 401k. And it's like, what do I do when I leave? Their biggest concern is to maintain insurance. And I'm like, look, I could teach them how to start something from nothing. Murphy Door really got $24,000 out the gate from John Porter, and we created whatever it was from that. Like, thank goodness I had a great neighbor. I'm like, look, you don't need a whole bunch to start. You just have to have a creative mission on how you can fund it through.
Totally creative.
That's it. Like, you don't need a bank. You don't need credit cards. You don't need to take from friends, families, or fools. Like, you can have your customers prepay you. Think of it as a Kickstarter as you pre-sell stuff online. Like your skateboard guy, that Go Sports. What a great guy. That was a great podcast, by the way. So I'm like, this is a way that you can do it without a whole lot of kickstarting money. And so that was the principle behind it. It turned into a little bit of like PTSD. How do you cope? It was kind of an interesting one. And I've rebranded it a little bit like 90 Proof Wisdom by Jeremy Barker.
I was going to say the 90 Proofs for what kind of whiskey?
You know what? This is a funny story for 90 Proof because I don't really drink much whiskey, to be honest with you. But our office is in Lexington, Kentucky, and my daughter, Presley, when she was, I think we started during COVID, and she came up to me. She goes, she'd gone to we don't drink at the house, right? So she went to a friend's house and they were drinking. She goes, I've noticed that when people get drunk, the more truth they tell. They seem to just like let all their guards down and start talking, whether it be truths or exaggeration. I didn't want to ruin her beliefs, but she goes, so it's like, there's a lot of truth that comes with a couple shots is what I thought. And I'm like, well, maybe it's like 90 proof wisdom. So that way we don't have to be 100 proof, meaning some people can tell a little bit of an exaggeration, but at the same time that let their guards down and tell a little bit more of their underbelly. That was the principle behind it.
I think we've had some conversations this week about just being authentic and the freedom that brings with being able to be yourself. So I think that resonates a little bit.
Sometimes with the shots, it has a tendency to do that, right? And then like Pure Brand. So one of the magic sauces of Murphy Door, kind of the under secret of like, how did you scale? So I started this software company, and I'll be frank, Yelp, I think, I'm really opinionated, as we saw before this, but Yelp, I think, is the biggest piece of crap review platform you can have. Like if
I don't even have it on my phone.
It's a joke, right? Here's the deal. If what does a dog do when you kick it?
Yeah, yelps.
Right. So what do people go to complain about their product or service?
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
And even worse, to compound the problem, Yelp suppresses the 5 stars unless you pay them. Right. So we have a whole bunch of 5 stars.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, we have a whole bunch that's suppressed.
It's funny you say that because when so early on, my early 20s, I worked for Sears in appliance electronics, and that's back then. Consumer reports was the magazine. People always like, I see this is the number one.
You'd get a subscription
washer, dryer, whatever. And anyways, this lady went, and right next to me was vacuums, right? And she's like, hey, I'm going to go to lunch, but there's no one to cover. Can you just cover while I'm gone? Sure. I remember this lady, like kind of not the worker, but a customer was kind of lingering around. So I walked over there and I'm like, hey, can I help you? Yeah, I want to, I wanted to get this vacuum, but there's just bad reviews. And I said, you know what? This is the first time I actually have had someone say something about bad reviews, whether it's washer or dryer or whatever. But I'll ask you something. Do you have a vacuum now? Yeah. Have you loved it? I've loved it. You want to replace that, right? Yes. How many times you went online and said, man, this vacuum is so awesome? She goes, not once. Exactly. People that don't like it complain. Yeah. People that do like it's like, I'm just going along with my life. Yeah. I don't need to go online.
I don't need to go and brag about something I expect.
Exactly. So she's like, that's a good point. Yeah, I said, people love this vacuum. So it's up to you. It doesn't bother me whatever you buy. Right. But this one's rated number 1 for a reason.
Yeah, we didn't fake that. Yeah. So, and that's kind of the thing with Pure Brand is I thought, well, I got a 1 star on Yelp, which really bothered me. Like I love 1 stars, but I hate 1 stars. You know what I mean? It's like this mixed emotion. We fix problems with 1 stars. Yep. But the problem is when you go into Google reviews, it doesn't matter if it's Yelp. I mean, whoever, Trustpilot, like all these Trustpilot and other pay-to-play platform, silly. I don't know how they're so strong. I don't think you should have to pay to play to get a truth.
No.
So I'm like, how do we get it? I had my first 1 star for Google review was over a broken pallet. The door is fine, but they obviously hate their product because they shipped me a door on a broken pallet. So we got a 1 star over a freight company shipping product that broke the pallet, and the door came sideways, but the door was okay. Not always is it okay, by the way. Sometimes they're loaded with a dishwasher on top. Yeah. Right? Let's be honest. So those happen. But I'm like, I got to create something that I can get a 360 review out of, rather than a 1 star rant and a 5 star brag thing. Like, I don't believe in a 1 star or a 5 star. 1 star if you stole my money. Yeah. That's about it. 5 star if you mowed my lawn and made me dinner. Yeah. And that's not it. Like, if I paid $1,000 for a $1,000 thing, it should be a 3 star.
And I always I don't mind what the star is. I want to see, like, because I have Airbnbs, just like you and I were talking this morning. I want to see why they
An
put their
actual
star as. Give me the comment, because I've seen 1 stars and it's like that doesn't even pertain to
the door.
to the,
Yeah.
But it
to the
weighs
house
on
or
your
whatever.
rating, right?
And, it weighs on your rating. But the thing is, what people do is they see this. Oh, that's a 4.5, but they don't read anything.
Right.
You
They
know?
just go off
Nor
the
do I
baseline.
actually.
And I think 5 stars are old now. I think
Yeah.
truly there should be a sentiment rating. And so what we did with Pure Brand is went in and said, hey, we have 5 core questions that we asked, like, did you receive your product? Yes. Well, that'll give them 21 points. So that takes them over a 1.
Oh, there you go.
And then it keeps
That's great.
going through, like, did it come on time? Yes.
It's good to read.
These
Yeah,
are the
good to
kind
read
of
and
things that says
And
now
this
you're.
is live.
This is live.
Okay.
So then even cooler is now it's like, hey, rather than get a 1 star or a 5 star, I can get a 360 review from my client and have an actual Zoom call with that customer and say, hey, why do you not like it? Well, these are all the things that they could have done better. These are the things they did okay, and these are the things that they did great. So now you have a full sentiment. Like if this guy's angry about the pallet, that's wonderful, but at least you know now that maybe the pallet will show up, and if you decide, broken, but then you decide to buy the product, you see that I can understand that, but tell me more about the door. Like your 1 star rant on a broken pallet, and by the way, it could be craftsmanship too, but whatever that 1 star rant is, how did they fix it? How do they come in? And star ratings don't allow that.
Yeah.
But a consumer conversation where we can go back and forth and say, well, okay, great. So you did have a scratch. Did they send you a brand new door? What did it take? Were they hard to deal with? Was it like moving mountains, or was it just
Yeah.
a one call that's all scenario?
It's crazy. I was going to say, let me ask you real quick. I'm going to switch gears just a little bit. We're kind of winding down a little. For anybody who's listening and goes, okay, you've got this story of, not necessarily rags to riches, but you really built yourself from the ashes and come through.
Which is my next book, by the way, Ashes to Empires.
There you go. I
So
love
that's
that.
it. So then my
I was
last
going to
that.
say, do you have one quick piece of advice for somebody who's listening, a piece of motivation, something that you would share that you wish that maybe somebody would have told you a handful of years ago?
Well, I was able to get really low really fast, and when I lived in my car for a solid year to the day. My buddy, by the way, Bo, it's a truck. Okay, I get it. It wasn't a car. It was an extended cab. Yeah, he called me a little bit drunk the other day, and he's like, "Dude, you're so full of crap." I love Bo. He's right. It wasn't a car. This was an extra cab Dodge Dooley. It was not a car. And he's like, "You make it sound like you were so bad off in a Honda Accord or something. You were in a Dodge Dooley with an extra cab." I'm like, "Okay, fine." So I was in there for a year. Yeah, the details. Devil's in the details. So
Yeah.
Bo, there you go. You got it. I came truth out here right on
Bo.
Flat Bill Podcast. So long story short, when I came out of the car, I felt more empowered than I've ever felt. And I think it's, the basic is there's no firmer ground than the bottom
There you go.
that you can truly launch yourself from. If you look at it, recognize that there's nothing more solid than the bottom.
It's funny. People have asked me,
That's
like,
great.
what do you dedicate your success to? I'm like, failures.
100%.
That's how I'm successful, is
frequent.
because I failed so many times.
I use this silly analogy, like the Britney Spears deal. Bless her heart, Britney Spears is Britney Spears, but she had such an incredible growth that she never failed a lot. So the first time she felt failure was like a cliff off a 10,000-foot mountain.
Yeah, I think that's probably a pretty
it's a pretty
common
one,
story, yeah.
right? So if we can fail every day, if we can find, rather than celebrate our wins, and we can say, hey, what did I screw up today, and how can I fix it? And I could do better at this, by the way. I talk better than a horse. I just don't run as fast. But if I can recognize what I did not great, and then say, hey, what can I do a little bit better tomorrow? John Porter, by the way, he always says, look, I don't care if you drink coffee, just drink a little less tomorrow. Just something simple. Just do something better than you did yesterday,
Sure.
and you're going to be moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
So I think that really matters, is these small pivots, recognizing not just our wins and high-fiving every minute. It's like, okay, what were our learning lessons? How do we help, or how can we help that pivot to a direction that makes me better tomorrow, and constantly making that motion and celebrate that fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Love
rather
that.
than beat yourself up, I mean, don't beat yourself up. My rearview mirror, my mom goes crazy, is as big as a dime. And I try to keep my windshield like 360.
Totally.
I'm like, and it's probably a failure because I'm not going to be angry at anyone. You could call me all sorts of names and I'll be like, well, are we still going to lunch? Because, man, I don't know. I have no grudge.
Yeah.
I try not to anyway.
Sure.
And I think it makes you sick. I
Yeah.
think when you can be
Yeah.
optimistic and look forward to the whole wide future rather than let your past be in your way of seeing anything great. Like my mom has had that problem her whole life. Bless her heart, I love her, but she's mad about stuff from 80 years ago.
Same with my parents.
I think it's
Mostly my mom
little
too.
generational.
So how can someone find you, your Pure Brand? Like, we'll have
What's the
a
deal?
lot of the links at the bottom of
Yeah,
the
so
podcast.
I'm on Instagram as the real Jeremy Barker. I know that sounds silly, but I couldn't get my name, so I had to put the real in front of it.
It's all good. I love
On
that.
LinkedIn, it's Jeremy
We don't,
G.
we,
Barker.
don't, we don't want the fake one.
Yeah, right. We don't want the fake one. And I got banned from Twitter So all the way banned. I couldn't log in the other day, and I haven't even used it for months. I'm like, hold on, Elon. I've tried to buy 4 Teslas from you. I can't get it done. Try to buy a Tesla for one of your out-of-state locations. Impossible. Wow. Silly deal. I've tried to buy a solar panel anyway, and now I'm banned off Twitter, supposedly the free speech.
I don't know what you did
platform.
to Elon, but that's good. So
I thought I was buddies, but who knows? I guess I'm not.
There you go. Well, anyway, it's been a real pleasure. I think anybody listening will be better for listening to the episode, and we appreciate you taking some time with us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It was so good to meet you guys. And I'm
you
glad
too,
we're
Jeremy.
neighbors, man. That's awesome.
Glad it.
Thank you.
Well, until next time, invest in your future.
Invest in yourself.
This is the Flat Bill Investors Podcast signing off.